It came in a neatly worded paragraph, like a corporate performance review. Derek Blake typed it and hit send like it was business. You've neglected your body. I still love you, but I'd be more attracted if you were smaller. 17 years, 3 children, and daily 3-mile runs, reduced to a size preference. He didn't mention the birthdays I planned, the school pickups I handled, or the way I kept our home spinning when he disappeared into the gym. Just a subtle accusation dressed as concern. I read it 5 times. I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I felt something harder than heartbreak. Something sharper than pain. I felt resolve. And that changed everything. I stood in front of the mirror, examining the same woman I had seen for years. Same curves. Same stretch marks. Same Monica Blake. But for the first time, I wasn't looking for flaws. I was looking for the woman behind them. I whispered, "This isn't self-care. This is survival." My stomach bore the marks of Ethan, Maya, and their brother. My legs carried me through exhaustion. My arms lifted everyone but myself. For years, I lived in service to a man who measured worth by inches. Now I was reclaiming each one. Tomorrow, I would carry myself, no apologies, no shame. Tomorrow, Monica Blake would finally walk in her own power. That morning, I packed lunches, ironed school uniforms, checked homework, and kissed 3 foreheads. Derek passed through the kitchen shirtless, barely acknowledging me. "Don't forget to pick up my protein powder," he said, like I was his assistant, not his partner. He didn't ask if I slept last night. He didn't notice my swollen feet. He didn't thank me. That was normal. The marriage had rules I never agreed to. I gave. He took. I showed up. He evaluated. I cried. He stayed stone cold. But something had shifted. I noticed everything that morning. And I saw it clearly for what it was. A performance I never signed up for. I didn't say it yet. But in my soul, I'd already quit. Dinner used to be routine. I cooked for everyone. Asked Derek what he wanted. I made sure it was hot, healthy, and timed around his gym recovery. But not tonight. Tonight, I made what I liked. Just for me and the kids. Spaghetti. Garlic bread. Fresh salad. I didn't ask his preference. I didn't fix his plate. He walked in and stared at the table. "You didn't make mine?" I looked up calmly. "You didn't ask if I needed anything yesterday. I assumed we're being independent now." He blinked. Confused. Disoriented. As if the air shifted and he couldn't breathe. That silence? That wasn't petty. It was power. And I let it sit. I sat on a brown leather couch for the first time in 10 years. Dr. Diane Keller had kind eyes and a voice that didn't flinch. I showed her the message. She read it, then looked at me quietly. "This isn't about weight. It's about worth. He wants you to shrink, not because you're big, but because you're growing." Her words hit hard. Derek always wanted control. Through food, through sex, through silence, but never through understanding. And I stayed quiet to survive. Not anymore. I booked weekly sessions. Didn't tell him. Healing didn't need his permission. This was about me now. My mind. My heart. My story. And I was taking it back one truth at a time. "Try intermittent fasting," Derek said. "Tone your legs. Dui." I used to nod. I used to try. But not anymore. That week, I muted him mentally and digitally. I joined a strength group online. Women who didn't want to be skinny, just strong. We talked about survival, shame, and stories like mine. One morning, I unfollowed every influencer he tagged me in. Click. Gone. One by one. The algorithm changed and so did I. My feed filled with strength, joy, and rebirth. I wasn't shrinking. I was regrowing. That afternoon he made another suggestion. I smiled and said, "Thanks." But I didn't do it. Because I wasn't sculpting my body for him anymore. I was reclaiming it for me. My closet held decades of compromise. Old jeans. Maternity bras. Outfits he liked more than I did. I reached for the red dress shoved in the back. The one Derek said was too much. Too fitted. Too bold. Too loud for a mom. I slipped it on. It zipped easily. I looked in the mirror, not to check if I looked thin enough, but to see if I looked like myself again. That Sunday, I wore it to brunch with Maya and my friend Lila. The waitress said, "You look powerful." I didn't explain. I didn't laugh it off. I smiled and said thank you. Because for the first time in years, that compliment felt true. Dinner with friends used to mean silence. Derek told jokes, flexed muscles, relived gym milestones. I played the role of quiet cheerleader. But this time I spoke. "I've been lifting too," I said. "Mentally. Emotionally. Soon physically." He scoffed. "You." I didn't flinch. "You'd be amazed what I can carry once I stop carrying you." Forks paused. The air thickened. The other wife smiled. The other husband raised an eyebrow. Derek laughed nervously. "She's joking." But I wasn't. And he knew it. That dinner didn't end with dessert. It ended with a shift. A warning. A woman reclaiming her voice. And that woman was me. Late one evening, a message popped into my support group inbox. "You have a way with words. Ever thought about blogging?" At first, I hesitated. I didn't think I had time, but that was a lie I'd been trained to believe. I had time for everyone else. Why not for me? So I wrote. My first post. I let myself go. Back to who I was before you. I posted it anonymously. It went viral. Women wept. Strangers said thank you. I didn't tell Derek. He wouldn't understand, and I didn't need him to. That night, I fell asleep not as his wife, but as a woman with a voice. And people were finally listening. A journalist from a women's magazine emailed me. "Your post struck a chord. Can we interview you?" I sat in our kitchen for the video call, coffee in hand, heart pounding. She asked, "What changed?" I replied, "I stopped asking for permission to take up space." That line became the headline. It spread fast. Forums shared it. Therapists quoted it. It found a home in women's hearts. Derek didn't mention it. Maybe he didn't know. Or maybe he did and didn't know how to respond. That silence wasn't empty. It was confirmation. Monica Blake was no longer background noise. She was now the story. And for once, I didn't shrink from the spotlight. The mirror used to judge me. Now it greeted me. I wasn't thinner. I wasn't drastically different. But I was present. Alive. Awake. My body told stories of births, of grief, of endurance. I traced each line with pride, not shame. Derek walked by and said, "You've been quiet lately." I met his eyes through the reflection. "I'm sharpening my blade." He laughed, confused. But I wasn't speaking in threats. I was speaking in truths. My silence wasn't retreat. It was refinement. That morning, I dressed not to be seen by him, but to be seen by the woman I had forgotten. And she smiled back. I stood backstage in the red dress Derek once mocked. The lights warmed my skin, the mic shook slightly in my grip. I stepped forward. Hundreds of eyes waited. I spoke from the scar, not the wound. When someone critiques your body while relying on your strength to carry them, that's not love. That's control. The room held its breath. Then erupted. Women stood. Some cried. Some nodded so hard I thought their necks would break. That applause? It wasn't for perfection. It was for truth. I looked out across the crowd and saw something I hadn't seen in years: belief. They believed in me. And finally, so did I. Backstage, my phone buzzed. "Derek, you looked incredible." I watched the stream. "Can we talk?" I stared at the screen, heart steady. This wasn't longing. It was detachment. A year ago, I would have melted. Rushed home. Apologized for shining. Now, I deleted the message. No reply.
No explanación.
Just digital dust where control used to be. Derek didn't lose the version of me he tried to fix. He lost the version who loved him through sacrifice, loyalty, and silence. That version no longer existed. And that silence, it wasn't cruel. It was closure. The video clip of my panel reached 1 million views. That one line, "I stopped shrinking to be loved," became a movement. Women emailed me from hospital beds, divorce courts, and church pews. "You told my story. Thank you for giving me the words I couldn't say." Even therapists began quoting me in their sessions. And Derek? He scrolled through the comments silent. He never imagined the woman he dismissed at dinner would become a voice that carried through countries. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. Because the best revenge isn't noise. Its impact. A global tour. 3 cities. Guest panels. Paid speaking. The same organizers reached out again. You're not just a story, Monica. You're a movement. I accepted. Proudly. Derek raised an eyebrow. You're traveling a lot. What about the kids? I smiled. I raised this family while being torn down. You can manage snacks and screen time. He had no comeback. Just silence and clenched jaw. I didn't need him to cheer. I just needed him out of my way. This version of Monica didn't ask for permission. She packed truth in her suitcase and took flight. We sat around the table. Maya giggled about school. Ethan asked for seconds. Derek tried small talk. Your mom's becoming famous, he said lightly. Maya looked up. She's always been that to me. I froze, then smiled. She saw me. Not as his wife. Not as the woman behind the scenes. As a leader. A mother. A whole person. Derek stirred his food. That silence wasn't awkward. It was justice. Because what he failed to acknowledge publicly, my children saw clearly. And their pride healed parts of me I didn't know were still broken. No microphone. No lights. Just a family dinner. And quiet, powerful restoration. Host your own series, the producer wrote. Rewriting the wife story. I stared at the screen. I thought about women like me still hiding. I replied. Let's change lives. Derek passed by as I clicked send. You're really running with this, huh? He said. I turned to him calm. No. I'm running without you now. He didn't argue. Because deep down he knew. The woman who once needed his approval had now been hired to dismantle his mindset on camera. Not out of spite. But because the world needed healing. And I had earned the mic. On my 42nd birthday, there was a card from Derek on the kitchen counter. Inside. Let's start fresh. I miss you. I didn't smile. I didn't tear up. I walked to the mirror, held my reflection's gaze and nodded. I looked amazing. Not for him. For me. The card remained unopened. Not as punishment. But because I had no interest in recycled regret. This birthday my gift was clarity. A life beyond pleasing. A story beyond survival. No balloons. No cake. Just me. Whole. Present. Unapologetically here. And that card. It stayed sealed. Some things don't need a second chance. We crossed in the hallway. A moment. A brush. His hand grazed my waist. You look incredible, he said. I didn't pull away. But I didn't smile either. I always did, I replied. You just missed it. That wasn't anger. It was truth. He looked at me like a stranger. Because I was. I had become someone he never imagined. Unreachable, fulfilled, rising. Revenge doesn't always scream. Sometimes, it wears confidence like perfume and leaves no room for regrets. That was the last time he touched me. And he knew it. The first episode aired. He measured my worth in pounds, but I gave the world my voice in tons. Within days, it ranked top 10 in personal growth. The emails came in droves. Listeners in their 20s and 70s. Survivors. Fighters. Silent dreamers. My voice, once silenced, now echoed in cars, kitchens, and therapy rooms. I didn't read the comments aloud at home. I didn't need Derek's validation. Because this podcast wasn't a flex. It was a torch. Lit by pain. Carried by purpose. And now, passed to every woman who forgot her own volume. His name was Jordan Ellis. A creative director. Thoughtful. Quiet strength. We met after a panel. He listened, not to respond, but to understand. Weeks later, he said softly, "Let me love the version of you he overlooked." I didn't answer right away. Because healing doesn't rush. But for the first time, I didn't fear love. I didn't shrink under its weight. This wasn't replacement. This was recognition. I smiled not because he completed me, but because he saw me. Fully. Honestly. Gently. Love wasn't the reward. It was the return of choice. I filed the separation papers quietly. No drama. No screaming. Derek looked at me, eyes wide. When did you stop loving me? I said. When loving you meant abandoning myself. He didn't argue. Just nodded, slowly. As if he already knew. I packed the essentials. the kids, my journals, the red dress, and left the guilt behind. Some stories don't need bitter endings. They need honest exits. And this? This was mine. 5,000 seats. One spotlight. My name on the screen, Monica Blake. The title behind me. She let herself go, then let go of him. I stepped forward. Not nervous. Just ready. Real revenge isn't pain, I said. It's peace. The crowd stood, applauding not the story, but the woman. If Derek was watching, I hope he understood. You can't shame someone who has stepped fully into their power. I didn't burn him down. I built myself up. And in the end, that was louder than any scream.